When these are their actions about the companions of the Prophet ﷺ, then brothers and sisters in Islam, be very careful about associating with these people. Make sure that your mosque stays Sunni.
Inshallah.
Make sure your mosque stays Sunni. Why? Because if your mosque becomes a Salafi mosque, if your mosque becomes a Deobandi mosque, then elders, when you pass away, these brothers, they will not do dua for you. If you make sure that these brothers have the aqaid of the Ahle Sunnah, if you make sure that your children are stern followers of Allah, Hazrat Fazil Barelvi Rahmatullah alayhi, when you make sure that your children have the same aqaid as Fultolis have, yes?
Subhanallah.
When you make sure that when your children have the same aqaid as ulama ikram like these, then you will not go wrong, because when you die, you will not die. Because the Prophet ﷺ said that when a person dies, إِن قَطَعَ عَمَلُهُ إِلَّا ثَلَاث, that his actions finish except three. And from the three actions one of those actions is a pious child who prays for him. A pious child who prays for him. Brothers and sisters in Islam, that is the belief of the Ahle Sunnah. You make sure that you do milad every year. You make sure that every single year when you do milad, the next year is bigger than the first. And then the next year is bigger than that. And then the next year is bigger than that. Why? Because money spent in the milad of the Prophet ﷺ does not go to waste. Money spent in the milad of the Holy Prophet ﷺ goes as a reward for every single one of you.
Subhanallah.
My time that I was given was between 4 to 6 and 4 past 6. My 30 minutes are over, however. I finished on one verse of poetry. And it's a verse of poetry. I've been I've very kindly been granted another 10 minutes. 6:25, alhamdulillah. So I'll mention a very famous story. A very famous story about the remembrance of the Holy Prophet ﷺ. And I start the story with a verse of poetry. I was going to finish my speech on the verse of poetry, but now I'll start the story on the verse of poetry. It's a verse of poetry by one of the Sahabis, one of the companions who Hazrat